I thought I was going to be here, but we're here. Now you're looking at that going, but Gary, you're still killing it. Look, da-da-da-da. So you could bring an outside perspective. I'm still like, no. Like, I should be further than I am right now, but I've hit these pitfalls, right? But the people listening to you right now, Derek, that are at 10,000 MRR are like, but Derek.
Perspective, yeah.
It's not a matter of being ungrateful. It's just, I want to keep growing.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting our successes and failures.
I'm
Gary,
really excited.
how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm really excited about today. But before we dive into that, I want to just call something out. So you just got a phone call. We were sitting there and we were talking in the studio before you started recording, and somebody was asking you for connections with senior citizens. And I'm just like, what in the world? And you just shared an awesome story. So I just want you to share that story a little bit, because I think that's like your origin story, but you've never shared it before.
I don't know if it's my origin story, but I mean,
Bro, what were you doing? Okay, so that was before your business though, right?
Yeah, no, it was before my business. I was in school. I was a junior in high school. It was a sociology class. One of the best. His name was Mr. Q. Shout out Mr. Q. Best teacher I've ever had. One of top 3. Like, I remember him to this day, and he actually set me on track to do what I'm doing now. So I'm forever grateful for him. Amazing teacher. It was a sociology class, and he gave us an assignment to go speak to elderly people. Me, being the person I am, said, I don't want to just speak to one. I also want to make this a YouTube video. So I went and spoke to, I believe, 5 or 6 at a local nursing home. Recorded the whole thing with my partner. Edited it, posted it on YouTube. A year and a half later, it went viral. It did 500,000 views. I'm sure Kyle just put the video right here. Paid me handsomely, which was awesome. I learned a lot.
How much did it pay you?
It paid me a good amount of money. Let's just say a few grand. It paid me a few grand from that video. So YouTube pays really well. On average, for every 100,000 views, I was getting paid about $1,000, which is crazy. That's like CPMs for a finance channel, which I kind of sort of was, but this was definitely not a finance video. Paid very well. Definitely tried making a few YouTube videos after that never really hit after I saw how much YouTube pays. But what Gary's kind of talking about right now, I got an email from a casting director asking for those connections. Interesting. I don't know why they don't just call a nursing home themselves. I'll link them.
This is the thing I find fascinating, is that you can do things and you build things and you put content out there, and then years later you're still building connections off of it, even though it has nothing to do with what you're doing right now.
I actually had a while ago. Oh my God! If you guys are familiar on YouTube, they do those CNBC Make It videos. I don't think the series Make It. It's like the one of those CNBC series. They actually reached out to me because they saw my YouTube channel. It was specifically because I didn't go to college, so I was actually slotted to be there. Unfortunately, I didn't make the cut at the end of it, but it's okay because then my business took off. So I'll take it. But it's crazy. But Gary's absolutely right. You know, you put content out there. This video got like maybe 1,000 views. Maybe 2,000 views out of nowhere. I woke up one morning, I got an email, YouTube asked me to be monetized. Like, I remember this day. It was
how is that not your origin story then, of like, hey, I want to get into this kind of business?
Oh, because this was earlier. My origin story, Gary, and for those of you who are interested, I started a YouTube channel and a clothing brand when I was a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
It even goes back further than freshman year, the summer of freshman year of high school. I was starting all those drop shipping stores. That's where really I started. I made this jewelry store, dog toys, cell phone cases, you name it. I was trying to sell it. That was my origin story. Then from there, it went to a clothing brand with a YouTube channel, and then from there, it scaled up, and nothing really clicked until I created the concept for my current company, Mirror Media Marketing, 2 years ago now, 2020. Never really did anything with it. And then 2021, started something. End of 2021, beginning of 2022, found my niche, and now you and I.
Do you still have all the clothes and stuff?
Oh, I don't. It was called Indiv Apparel. I think the Instagram is still live, but I think I donated it all and gave it to my mom and sister. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Awesome.
It was an expensive lesson. I must have invested like 20 grand into that thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it was expensive. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So, all right, what is today's episode about?
Today's episode's about me, Gary. It's about me. It's been, I know I mentioned this in the episode that we just filmed, but it's been a crazy couple months. July and August, it has been nuts. in a good way. I'm living my dream life, like in every single aspect I could possibly ever imagine. And I'm grateful to be here with you in everything. Like I get to create the content I'm dreamed of. I've always dreamt of having this Shure SM7B. Look at this thing; it's so pretty. I get to talk into it. A nice like the little things. But honestly, I'm living my dream life every single day, right? Getting to take my family to dinner, like stuff like that. It's everything I've ever wanted to do. And honestly, I'll be transparent. It was always a thing when I was younger. I thought, I have to have like $1 million. I'm nowhere near $1 million. But even where I'm at, I'm like, this is amazing. Like this is fantastic. But it's not all rosy, like flowers and roses, right? There's a lot of things that come along with it. Right now, the biggest issue we're experiencing is sales. So I really want to dive into sales a little bit today, Gary. I want to help the audience by explaining possible different ways they could grow, what they're going to experience plateau-wise around sales. Right now, for me, I work with podcasts. I've got a team of editors, team of account managers, project manager, and then there's me doing basically every single other role. And we work with the top podcasts in the world, like this, and this that just popped up on the screen. I can't seem to expand and grow as fast as I would like to grow because I don't think that there's enough clients out there for what I'm trying to do. The right clients that have the budget, that have the willingness to invest. What do you think I need to do? Am I on the right track or am I off track? Okay, can you even answer that?
Yeah, so here's how you fix it. Here, and here. Did it work? Did anything pop up?
I think it did, yeah.
Just messing with you, Kyle. All right. That was just really cool the way you did that. And then I'm like in my head, I saw all the videos pop up. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So the question is you need to ramp up sales. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you don't have enough more podcasts to reach out to, like the ones that make money?
That's a big part of it, yeah. There's not enough of a pool of people that actually can afford our services to where we can grow to where we want to grow. That's one of the problems, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about. Like, really important when you start a business that you go into a market that people have money. So with that said, like there's a ton of podcasters, but most people don't make money off their podcast. Like I don't make money directly off my podcast, right?
Yeah.
And so that makes it really hard to spend money on it. No matter what, no matter how you split it. So there's a couple different options that you have just from a business standpoint, right? So you can have a lower tier of service where, hey, we're going to only produce this many clips for less money. So that way you can service these people who have less money for their podcast because they know they need to do your service. I think like if your service was $100, everybody would sign up, right? Every podcast would sign up because it would be amazing, but it can't be $100 because it's labor intensive.
Yeah.
So how do we either lower the price so more people can say yes, or how do we open up our market? How do we make our market bigger? How do we have more people that we can actually reach with it? So which of those those are your only two options, Derek, or you change your product offering completely. Yep. That's it. So those are your only options. So I know it can be stressful when you're like, oh, there's it's almost infinite the amount of things you can do. It's really not infinite. You have a couple roads that you can pick. So out of those roads that you can pick, which one seems like the right one for you?
I think, if I'm being honest, and I know you know about this because we kind of spoke about it, but I think I already kind of went with road 2, which is expanding who I'm serving a little bit more. Right now it's kind of podcast, but I realized like, hey, we can actually expand this to businesses, and I don't want to really go into that yet because it's just an idea. So if I don't want to say something right now. I mean, honestly, I don't care. If I want to change it, I'll change it. But bottom line is, I'm thinking about putting what we do now into place for businesses from scratch, kind of what we do internally, like the way we started this show, the way that my team went behind this show and everything, right? And doing the same thing from scratch for anybody really who has the funds and the willingness to do it. That was one thing that I was thinking about. But also, let me ask you this. How much do you think mindset plays a role in this in terms of a limiting belief? Because every time I juggle with this a lot. Sometimes I look at there's agencies that literally only work with podcasts and they are making millions of dollars a month, right? In MRR.
Why are they making millions of dollars a month?
I don't, well, that's what I'm trying to understand, right?
But why? What are they doing that brings $1 million a month?
I think the companies I'm referring to really are like the Wondery, Audio Boom, like those guys, the podcast networks that distribute your podcast for you, and that they take a percentage of revenue of ad dollars. That's not what we do. It's not who we are.
Yeah, so that's not a good comparison then, because you do something totally different.
Yeah.
But I think the secret is in that, right? So what do? They go to these podcasts and go, you should post your podcast here, and if you happen to make money off of it, we get some of it, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a much different business proposition,
of course,
where you're saying pay me money for potentially for me to do something for you, right? And I know you're delivering on your promise, but there's still a risk reward there, where if I sign up with those podcast people that you were just describing, those people are going to they're making more of a win-win situation where there's not a lot of downside for me not signing up with them.
I think, not to go too much into this, but I think the only thing is with those types of situations, they own your content, which is the problem. So they'll own the content, they'll own the distribution rights, and they kind of control you. They lock you into like a 2-year deal where like, and they say, we'll put ad dollars behind you, we'll do this. And there's obviously big money there, because when, Apple says, hey, I'll pay you $500,000 a year for an ad deal, they're going to take 30-40% of that, right? And own your content. But I think it's a different situation. I guess, Gary, where I'm really looking for support is I'm looking for help. I'm here for a doctor's visit. I need help diagnosing the problem, Gary. Am I looking at this the wrong way? Is maybe my problem not sales? Is it marketing? I know my product, and I know what we do. We're storytellers. How we tell stories is simple to change. We're editing long-form podcasts, short-form podcasts, thumbnail designs.
How many sales opportunities did you have in the last 2 months?
Last 2 months, maybe 5.
Okay. And how many of those did you convert?
As of now, 0.
Okay.
And because we haven't even got there. We haven't even got there yet.
How many do you think you'll convert of the 5?
In full transparency, I think honestly one of them I just lost, which was a really big one I was hoping to get. But I think maybe one of them I have good hopes for. One of them.
Okay.
Of the 5.
So that's 20%. So why are the other 4 saying no?
So far, the feedback that I've gotten is it's not the right time, and they just don't have the budget for it.
Yes, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So again, you have to either change your price so those people say yes, which might not be an option, right? Or you offer less. Say, hey, what if we only do 1 clip, a show or two, or whatever, right? You know that better than me. So, and then that's one option. Or the other option is to say, who does have the money to do this? Who has the money to afford this? And how do I open and make that wider? So something I know that we talked about before was potentially going to people who don't have podcasts yet and saying you'll help them start their podcast and do the clips, and that is really good, because now you're going to have people who actually have money to pay you to do all of this. Now, where it will get interesting is how long will they keep you, right? Like that's a whole separate conversation, but we're not trying to solve for that right now. But that is a really good market, because you're creating your own market.
Yep.
And how many people want to start podcasts, right? Like, who's going to help me buy the equipment? It was very painful to start my podcast. Very painful, very scary. I would have loved if somebody come along and just say, we'll help you do the whole thing. But we didn't have that. Like, I hired people. I hired like an audio technician, and then a video person. And then
it's hard.
I just went like person. And then I did somebody else who helped us like register all of our things. And then I had a person that was working on it internally, and she like just was like totally guessing. So was I, you know what I mean? If we were doing it right.
Yeah.
And it was the quality was horrible. If you go and look at our first podcast on dental marketing theory, if you stop by there and you take a look at it, make sure you leave a review. But when we started going through and doing the quality was horrible. I was doing them on Zoom.
Yep.
And I couldn't figure out why on Zoom they were so horrible looking.
Yeah, and pixelated,
Yeah, and I'm like, why? Oh, I know I set it at the highest quality, and I'm like Googling it, and then finally someone was like, oh, you should do it on a third-party platform, not Zoom. They're compressing it. I mean, all the sound wasn't good on it. Like, all that stuff. Like, it was a learning curve. I would have loved to have somebody help me along the way.
Yeah, it's funny because 2 things. I'm always here to provide you guys value, the people listening and the people watching. So I'm hoping that through my experiences with Gary, you guys can kind of pick this apart tonight. And I'm going to break this down into 2 or 3 points here. For some context, diagnosing what the actual issue is here, which I think I'm going to get into a little bit deeper with Gary. And also realizing that you can change who you're serving. And it's very important to realize that. It's something I'm literally going through this right now. I'm putting all my chips on the table, all my cards. You guys are seeing, I'm showing you my hand, right? But you got to start somewhere. What excites me about this opportunity, Gary, is that I can basically, in that situation, cater to any budget sort of, right? Like if somebody didn't want clips, or they didn't want a long form show, we could just do their branding and charge them $1,000 one time, and they get the logo, the design, and that's awesome. Then down the line, they start making money. They can come back to us. Or if we find a bigger business, we can lock them in for a 6-month, $5K contract or $4K paid up front, cash collected. We'll do everything. We'll do all the clips, the long form, the thumbnail, the YouTube, all that stuff. That's what excites me about this opportunity. What are your thoughts? Am I looking at it the right way?
Yeah. So maybe what you could even do too is like, So here's the way I'm looking at it. Right now, you're saying, if this is your sales pitch and message, if you are a podcast, will help you get more views on that podcast. So that's like this many people, right?
Yeah.
That can afford that service.
Yeah.
But now we're saying you should start a podcast and we'll help you. Now your market's like this big. It's almost too big.
Is it though? Is it too big? Are there enough people that can afford $5,000 to $7,000 a month?
Businesses? How many businesses in the world? Like, how many businesses need a podcast?
This goes to mindset. I think every business could benefit from a podcast long term.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, of course. So then how many of them can afford $5,000 a month for marketing? Like, there's tons of businesses, tons of them.
This is mindset, Gary.
It's too big. It's too big of a market. You're gonna have to narrow back down. So here's what's gonna happen. So this is what's gonna happen. You're going to go out. I'm going to like predict if you go down this road, this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to go out and you're going to go, you're going to change your pitch from if you have a podcast then to you should have a podcast, right? So you're going to open it up and you're going to get all these people. Some are going to kill. Some are going to not kill, but you don't know who those are yet. Then you're going to do it for a while and you're going to figure out, oh, this particular niche of business, like a lot of these people should all have podcasts. Like many of them should have podcasts, and I can help you monetize and I can help you make a lot of money and sell a lot of products. If you're in this category, we're going to knock it out of the park for you because we're going to sell everything that you have and right? I don't know who that is yet, and neither do you, but you're going to find that group of people. And then when you do, you're going to stretch it out and you're going to sell it. But there's so many different ways you can do this too, Derek. You could literally say, hey, we're going to come in and do this on a monthly basis. We're going to come and do the setup. Like, it's going to create a whole nother revenue stream and profit stream for you that you currently don't have.
It makes me so excited because when I thought about this the other day, I ran it by you. I ran it by my team. My team like looked at me. They're like, dude, that's it. They're like, yes. Like, this is, you got to do this. Because I kind of been.
So you got to sell the why. Now your sales pitch is why it's important. What are the benefits of starting a podcast?
And I'm already putting this into place. I've actually started working with our friend Stella, and I'm actually building out content all around this. Like, literally, here's what's important. And we know why did we start this show? Providing value to an audience.
You could even do, sales pitch right here. You can even just do, hey, if you're a marketing agency, you should do a podcast, and here's why. Like, that could be the niche. Start your marketing podcast, and here's why it's so important. If you're in this vertical of marketing agencies, here's why it's so important to have a marketing podcast.
Is that free information or do I have to pay for that?
It's free. Yeah. I mean, you've already built the channels, right? We got the Discord. You're already in that. You're already managing a mastermind. You're already in a mastermind above that of people that could potentially use your services. We already have the 8-figure agency who's our audience, 99% of our audience, agency owners, right? And we're going to keep leveling that up to bigger agencies because we're going to keep sharing more and more information of how your agency's growing, right? So now it's like, okay, cool. How do you create a $2,000 package, a $3,000 package, and a $5,000 package a month?
That's exactly it. Now, listen, I do want to ask you this. So I always want to audience first, right? So I'm seeing 3 things here. 2 of the things are on my mind. The third I'm blanking, but it'll come to me in a second. But the first part is mindset. I think the first part I have to get through, especially as I pursue this, is realizing that I need to, I go through this every day. And we just did an episode on this. Kyle just put the thumbnail right here and the link is right in the corner. But if you don't have an abundance mindset, you're not going to win. So like you were just going through this with me. You were explaining like, dude, your market's this, it's going to become this, right? In my head, it's really hard to fathom that, right? Because I'm like, oh, how many businesses can afford $5,000 a month? You, with the people are probably like, dude, I know like 200 people that can afford $5,000 a month. Me, I'm like, I'm like $5,000 a month. Like, whoa, that's how many people? It's difficult. So mindset, I think, is the first thing I have to get through. Number 2, diagnosing the right problem. And I think you just helped me diagnose my problem. And Alex Hormozi used this analogy, and I think I've mentioned on the show before, but like the boat that you're on. Is the boat actually the vehicle that's going to get you to where you want to go? Right now, I think I'm like maybe on like a dinghy, maybe on like a medium-sized boat, like a 20-foot fishing boat, out in sea. But now I need to level up to something a little bit bigger. Yeah. Right,
well, here's
which
something
might be
to help you. And here's something to help you too, Derek. This is not where you're going to finish your agency. Short form content is a thing right now, but it wasn't a thing just a couple of years ago. And guess what? There's going to be another thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something, and it's going to be whatever that is, right? And so your agency's going to pivot again. So it's like get comfortable with this pivot because it's going to pivot again.
No, yeah, 100%. I guess, yeah, that was the third thing, getting comfortable with pivoting, right? Because I think this is not the first time I'm pivoting in business. I got here because I let myself pivot. I started working with a mechanic shop locally, filming all the content myself, leveled up to a bagel store, and now I'm working with some of the biggest podcasts, like my dream client. Yeah, bagel store. Yeah, I got the mechanic, got 60K on TikTok. The bagel store got 45K on TikTok. I actually just stopped working with the bagel store like 2 months ago. Like I officially cut ties. That was a big step for me. It was only like $1,000 a month, but as you can understand, that was me letting go of like that cushion. Even that nesting, even when you're at like 18, 19, that $1,000, you're like, oh, what if? Yeah, it's a lot.
It's 5% of your revenue.
Yeah, no, it's not like it's an insignificant amount, but I mean, when you do the math and when you run the numbers and you realize, okay, I have these many people paying me 18, but this one person won. Do I keep pursuing the one? No, you cut the one, you focus on the 18, which is it's really hard to do. But let's dive into this a little bit deeper. For anybody listening, anybody watching, you're trying to diagnose the problem. What are some tactical steps you could give people, including me? Because I don't think, honestly, that I've diagnosed this properly. I think marketing might be the biggest headache for me right now. Not having enough leads, period. Because I keep going back to this. I think there are still more podcasts we're not servicing. We just haven't been able to reach them. But how do you diagnose the problem, make sure that you're actually solving for the right variable?
Well, so you present the problem, and then you just do what I just did. You just keep asking why. So you said, I don't have enough. I know that sounds so simple, but that's all it is. So it's like, what is your, you said, I said, how many sales are you getting? Or how many sales opportunities? 5. How many are you closing? 1. Why? Well, I think because of this. Okay, so you're too expensive. So can you lower it? No. Why? Because labor is too expensive. It's labor intensive. Okay. Well, then what are our options then? And what are our options? So it's either you lower your cost, or you increase your market size. How do we increase our market size? What are the options? Now I think all of that's easy up until what are my options into the market. Although what I just said was fairly simple. But when we start talking about what are other how do we create more opportunities, that's where most people get stuck. For me, it's easy. Like I see opportunities in everything that I look at. I think that's one of my gifts, right? Like I don't have a lot of gifts, but that's one thing that I'm good at is just like I'm overloaded with opportunities. And in entrepreneurship, I think it's easy to entrepreneurs are naturally good at that. I think seeing all the different opportunities. How do we find the opportunities that are going to be valuable to us though?
Gary,
that's where,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, everything you're saying is resonating with me a lot, but I'm imagining myself listening to this as I'm driving, home from the gym. It's like 9:30 p.m. And what I would be asking is this: how much of this can be chalked up to a lack of patience, to me wanting where I'm going to be a year and a half from now, right now? Or am I off base here?
No, I told you a long time ago that I didn't think that the market that you're serving is going to be able to service you at the rate that you want for the skill set that you're at right now, right? So what I mean by that is that if you had 10 podcasts that were producing $1 million off your shorts and you were just like, here, I have the evidence for it, then people would be begging to line up with you and you'd have too many people working with you. Does it make sense?
Yeah, of course.
But you're at the level, the skill set of your level, or the level of your skill set right this time is like, cool, I can create followers, I can create more eyeballs, but there's still multiple levels to work inside of the podcast that you're still learning. Like you have to go through and learn those, and creating more opportunity is the perfect way to do that. Waiting another year and a half is too long in business. That's
well, that's not even what I mean. What I mean is more of a mindset standpoint. You're 100% right. Like I don't have the luxury of sitting here and waiting. If I sit here and wait, somebody else is going to pursue the other opportunity or whatever, and I'm going to lose. I have no choice but to do it, and I'm already in the process of doing that. But what I'm referring to is more so of a mindset perspective, right? How much of this, full transparency, stress, anxiety, fear is coming from a lack of patience, of me wanting the result of where I'm going to be a year from now, even on the track I'm on now, wanting it today? Or am I missing the mark?
No, I mean, you have to be patient. So when you know what you're doing is the right thing, you have to be patient with that right thing and let it develop. I'm right there right now with our business where I just talked about on the last episode where we were, I thought I was going to be here, but we're here. Now you're looking at that going, but Gary, you're still killing it. Look, So you could bring an outside perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm still like, no. Like I should be further than I am right now, but I've hit these pitfalls, right?
Yeah.
But the people listening to you right now, Derek, that are at 10,000 MRR are like, but Derek,
Yeah.
right?
Perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just perspective is always needs to be there, but it's not a matter of being ungrateful. It's just I want to keep growing.
Yeah.
Even if I'm more profitable. Like there's been times where we've lost things or we've taken a step backwards, but we became more profitable because of it. I know it's a long story. I can explain how that works as you get bigger and economy of scales and things like that. But anyways, we've had that happen before, but still I didn't like the shrinking, right? Like I didn't like the step backwards. I still want to grow. I still want to keep growing. I personally believe that you're either growing or you're shrinking. You're either living or you're dying. You're either chasing your dreams or you're reverting back into the old stuff, right? And I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward.
Gary, how do you live your life? How do you chase your dream? No, I'm kidding. That's a therapy session. That's a whole other thing. Listen, a lot of people will be asking the similar questions, I think, for sure. And I'm going to answer my own question, genuinely, not to go super deep, but like, how do you live your life? How do you pursue your dreams? This is going to blow everybody's mind. You ready for this? It's going to be crazy. Nobody's ever said this before. You just do it. Imagine. You just do it. It's so simple. People don't believe it, but it's true.
Well, what it is, too, is that you reaching your goals or not reaching your goals is not you. That doesn't define you. Right? And it's easy. Like it can destroy people. Like you think of somebody like, I'll use a sports analogy. Charles Barkley, one of the greatest power forwards ever. Funny, has on television. What do they always make fun of him for? You never won a ring, Charles. You never won a ring. And they make fun of him. They hold him up. Look at my 4 rings, right? But he doesn't let that define him. Now, he could let it define him. And he could let it absolutely destroy him that he never won the championship. But it's not, he's still super successful, right? But it's his choice to how he wants to look at that. And so my goals are great, but I am really, really enjoying the journey that I'm on. Like, sincerely. I used to not enjoy the journey. I used to stress out. It's like when you're a kid and you go on a trip with your parents and you go on a vacation and they're like, if you fight one more time, if you don't enjoy that, if you guys don't stop fighting, I am going to, right? You were going to have fun on this vacation. Yeah, okay. Right? Like that's one mindset. Or you could have the mindset of like, hey, this is actually fun. I'm actually enjoying this. This is great. I like this. And I'm learning from it as I go. And I may hit my goals, I may not. But I'm going to keep working hard, and this is what I actually enjoy doing. For me, I actually get to do what I love every single day. And sometimes I hit my goals and sometimes I don't.
That little parent anecdote sounded like you were speaking from a very personal firsthand experience.
I just went on a trip with a bunch of kids all the way up to Washington from California. It was rough.
Hey, but I saw a tweet from you. Believe it or not, I follow your content, Gary. Imagine that. I saw a tweet from you exactly what you're saying now.
I have 60 loyal followers on Twitter. So I just want to say that. They're super loyal, though.
I think by the end of this video, you can have maybe 65 or 70. So if you're listening to this, go follow Gary on Twitter. The post that I'm bringing up, and I think you posted this on Instagram as well, the rule of thirds, I believe you called it, right?
Yeah.
1/3 of the can you describe that? Because when I saw that, it blew my mind.
I heard it somewhere. It was some Olympic person said it, so it's not my original quote, but it really helped me. So it's the rule of thirds. So you have to know the rule of thirds in business or anything great that you want to do. So 1/3 of the time, you'll feel amazing. You'll feel so energized. You'll feel on top of the world. You'll feel all the momentum. Yeah. You'll feel everything's going great. 1/3 of the time, you'll just feel okay. You're like, you know what? I'm not at the top of the mountain, but I'm not as low as it could be. And then 1/3 of the time, you'll feel horrible. And if you say, well, I want to hack it and not have that horrible feeling.
Not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Like in anything, you're not going to do anything great without feeling really, really bad sometimes because it's hard, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's the 1/3. The mountaintop's easy. Anybody can do that. The okay times are actually pretty easy too. It's that bottom 1/3 that you have to prepare yourself for and just decide, I'm going to just be okay and make it through this bottom 1/3. And I'm going to get back to that top 1/3 again. I think that burnout is the reason a lot of people quit in their business. And all burnout is not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have to keep painting the light at the end of the tunnel for you and for your team to avoid burnout. Otherwise, if people just think they're on a wheel that's just grinding them, everybody will burn out. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing.
That post honestly, and I follow all of your content, and honestly, my entire team does as well. Everybody has become a fan of you since we started doing all this together. And I mean, listen, you post really honest content. When I read that this morning, it was probably the piece of content that resonated with me the most. Like by far, not even close. I don't use Twitter, so I didn't. I mean, I'll go retweet it. I'll go retweet. Okay,
retweet it, man. I've only had like 3 or 4 retweets, so it's
I'll retweet it.
I 4x my retweets. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna
100% increase of retweets, right? One.
I'm gonna literally retweet this live because now I feel.
I love Twitter because it's like I have so few interaction and so few followers that like any interaction that I get is like a massive growth, right? So if you follow me on any of my other platforms, I'm always updating everybody like, hey, just so everybody knows, I just got 2 more followers on Twitter. And that's like a 30% increase in following.
Listen, I just retweeted it, so that was 20%. I didn't see a retweet on that, so 100% increase in retweets, 100% increase. But no, seriously, it resonated with me the most. Overall, though, I mean, this was huge for me. This was like a mini therapy session. I'm not gonna lie, huge. People really underestimate the mindset of business. And you and I did a whole episode on this. We spoke about this for 45 minutes straight. But I honestly, looking back at that episode, I think we could do even another one on mindset because that was really about how to grow, how to lead a team. This is more of like, listen, you're in the weeds every day. You have to take care of your mind, take care of your body. And I have a lot I can say on this, like the gym. If you don't work out, if you're an entrepreneur who doesn't work out, and you made content on this too, oh my God, I didn't work out for 2 days this weekend because I was in Jacksonville. I couldn't make it. I was traveling. I felt so bad. Like I felt like garbage. Yeah. Today, I went to the gym about 4 hours ago and I felt like myself for the first time in 3 days. I don't know. Incredible.
So when I was going through like the hardest time in business is when I was working out the hardest too. And what I started to do is I was working out in the mornings at the time and super early, waking up, and I would push myself so hard, Derek, at this time. Like I was in really good shape. But in my head, I was like, this is going to be the hardest thing I do all day. And I'm like, anything I face in business is going to be easier than what I'm doing right now at the gym. Mindset. I don't do that anymore. I don't push myself that hard anymore because I'm older. What I do now that's helped me is I walk all day. So I walk 5 miles a day, every day. So I just sit on my treadmill, walk. It just burns off that. There's something weird when you have like ADHD and you use your mind and your mind is tired, but your body is full of energy, it creates weird energy for me. Like I don't fit. It's like a very anxious. So I have to burn that body energy. That's me personally.
I see. I don't know. I can't speak. I don't have ADHD, at least that I know of. So I don't know if I've ever experienced something like that. But if you have ADHD, comment. Do you guys have experienced the same thing? I actually would love to know. Like if you're listening to this or watching this or you're seeing this in a clip, leave a comment below. Is that something that you guys, experience? I'm actually interested in. I don't know. I have a lot of friends that, have ADHD and I know you as well. I've always wondered like what that's like, especially being in your position.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just normal. Like they tried to put me on Ritalin since I was a little kid. Thankfully my parents didn't. Yeah. And I always tell people I promise to only use my powers for good, not for evil. So,
hey, with great power comes great responsibility. But Gary, I want to tie this all together because I think honestly, this has kind of been an off the cuff episode. It personally helped me a lot. Really off the cuff. I think it helped a lot of people listening because this is a lot of things people don't talk about it a lot, and I'm really glad that I have this channel or this outlet where I can share this. A lot of people might think on my end that it's all, what's the saying, it's not flowers and daisies or something. There's literally a phrase for it. I don't remember. It's not all good all the time. There's a lot of things that unspoken that are happening that nobody knows about except oftentimes me, and I kind of just got to share that with all of you. But I guess the last link to all of this is the following, kind of back to diagnosing the problem. We spoke about sales, we spoke about having too small of a market, we spoke about tactically what I could do, and the mindsets around what you could do for anybody listening if you're in a similar position to expand your market, find a bigger pool of people that you could sell to, change your product, lower your prices, and keep asking why till you get to the root cause. Is that my problem though, or is marketing my problem? Because I have a BDR who was getting 50 meetings a month, and then for the last 4 months 0 meetings. Like I'm talking 0. Like,
Are they emailing the same people?
They were emailing new people and the same people constantly, trying to get them to come back.
Are the people seeing the emails?
They're being opened, yes.
And have you changed the pitch at all in there?
We just literally starting tomorrow. I redid the entire email script. I redid it completely.
Have you tried going back to the old one that was working though?
No, that's not even what I mean. I think, and this is why it's been a crazy last 2 months. What was happening was totally on me, full ownership. I didn't communicate the value of following up and that fortune is in the follow-up, and I didn't have a proper follow-up sequence at all. So we were kind of throwing, what is the phrase? I am stuck for words today.
Yeah, but what was working before? Like why was it working before?
I honestly, me sending 10 emails a day, that's it, Monday through Friday.
Were you following up with those 10?
I was, honestly, I'm not going to lie, very rarely. That's why.
So what changed? Like, why changing you out for another person? Why would that change anything?
Objectively speaking, I think honestly, when I first started this was a completely different time where this service was non-existent, and it was so valuable at the time. Everybody wanted it. So
everybody's doing it now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I remember before when I was starting, like there was nobody doing it. Now all of a sudden, I can name multiple agencies that will do something similar, maybe a little bit different. Everybody does has their own spin on it, but a lot of people are doing it.
Exactly. I think that's my suspicion, because in my
So then what makes you different then, Derek? I think that might be the real question. So I think you might just answered your question, is what makes you different than all those people out there? So you're a storyteller, but assume they're all storytellers too.
By far, what makes us different than every single person, and I'm very grateful to be in this position, is the clients we get to work with, our network. Like by far, like I am very happy to say.
But how does that help me?
How does it help you? If you're a client, it shows that we have the expertise, the results, and the experience.
Okay, but so what if everybody else has that too? So pretend everybody else has that. Like they're working with people. They all came out. They all found a podcast that they're helping. They're crushing it. What makes you different in the servicing of that?
My head goes to my team. But I mean, I think everybody would say the same thing. So I'm trying to think of what really.
That's your answer. So you need to find that differentiator. When the market gets crowded, you have to create a blue ocean of opportunity. Now, your idea of going to people who haven't got podcasts yet is a great idea. That is a blue ocean, meaning there's just opportunity for days, endless opportunity, and no one to compete with. However, if everybody keeps moving into the market, it's only a matter of time until you train those people to do their podcasts and they move to another company. So you have to create some kind of differentiator for you in that space.
I just got my homework assignment for the week. This is great. Yep. Okay. All right.
Does that make sense though?
I think it does. But if it's not my team and it's not my clients and it's not my network.
Why is it your team? Like, why is your team better than my team? You know what I mean?
That's my problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So you gotta keep working through that, because the differentiator has to be tangible to the client, not to the expert, right? So like, I'll give you an example in the dental industry. All the dentists say we are the premier, dental people. We do, we have all the training and we do the best dentistry. But the problem is, you and me as patients can't really tell the difference between amazing dentistry and subpar dentistry. It looks the same to us. Only the dentist can tell the difference. So you have to find that differential. So dentists have to get more creative. So dentists end up having to say, we are open on the weekends and nobody else is open on the weekends. That's a differentiator. We are open in the evenings, or we are open in the mornings, or we take insurances that nobody else does, or we're a lower price, or we're premium. We can see you same day. We can see you right now. We have, there's tons of different angles, and there's pros and cons to each of them.
Well, actually, when you put it that way, I guess our differentiator by far is our speed. We have a meeting, we get a new client, within 7 days we have content. So we are rapid, quick. I guess if you put it that way, that clears it up for me a lot more regarding our differentiator. Is that more of on the track of where I should be thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, speed is huge.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But you got to make sure that nobody else is
that fast, right?
Yeah, because if maybe everybody is that fast. I don't know. But that's big. I mean, that could be a big thing. Like there's do-it-yourselfers. There's a lot of I just got hit up recently. There was an Indian guy speaks really good English, and he's just like, hey, I have a service. I have all these video editors. I can do all this, and I can do it for X amount, right? And it was much cheaper than anybody else in the States could do, like by a lot. And he has. I was like, that's a very unique approach that you have there. Here's why. Here's where your upside is. Here's where your holes are going to come into. So anyways, there's tons of opportunities. There's endless amounts of opportunities to tackle this from multiple different directions.
100%. No, that was tremendously valuable. And I do got to ask you, you engage with people that cold message you. You offer them business advice. They cold message you, and then you're giving them business advice back. That's fantastic.
What do you mean on what?
No, the way you described that, you said somebody reached out to you, cold messaged you, and then
Well,
you kind of went through their.
He got a number. He got a color.
Oh,
He listened all the way through the show.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed the part. I thought you were literally saying somebody like cold messaged you on LinkedIn and then you spent like 45 minutes saying, oh, hey, buddy, here is like where you're going to rent. I was like, wait a minute.
I don't have that much time.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Well, listen, this has been tremendously valuable. And I think again, wrapping this up for everybody who's listening, mindset, part that people don't talk about, even that we didn't talk about in that one episode, the hard stuff. I know the biggest connection to mindsets, that rule of thirds that you described. Third of the time you're going to feel great, third of the time you're going to feel okay, third of the time you're going to feel horrible. Again, like I said, probably the most resonating piece of content I've ever seen you produce, speak, or write by far. And I did retweet it. I mean, diagnosing the problem, really understanding, because and you've taught me this before, and I've been focusing on this a lot. You can't give solutions to the wrong problem because the real problem will still be there. You have to focus your energy on diagnosing the problem.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking through this, Derek, is like you have to find the differentiator in what you're doing. I still think it's a good idea that you open your market, right? But you have to find that differentiator, and you have to keep drilling in on that. You have to, because even if you open up the market, I want you to think about it. You went into a market, there was nobody there. Tons of opportunity. Then everybody else moved in. Now the opportunity's gone. So you're not getting as many of opportunities because now the pie was this big. The pie's not going to get any bigger. So you have to go make the pie bigger. How?
Yep.
By getting more people into the podcast. But what's going to happen when you do that? Those people are going to be hit up by the people that moved into the market again. Unless you set that differentiator to retain those people.
Getting the moat. Building the moat, right? Creating a moat, decreasing friction for time. And that's point 3 and 4. Asking why, setting your differentiator, and that's what I'm going to do. In fact, before I forget, excuse me, everybody, but I'm making a note of this because I don't want to forget. Find my differentiator. This is real, guys.
And the quote you were looking for earlier is, life isn't all full of sunshine and rainbows.
Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's exactly it. I'm going to write that down too. Life isn't all full of sunshine and rain. I was looking for that twice this episode, and I completely forgot. This felt really good because honestly, I've been keeping this all kind of, in my head for literally since July.
You're doing good.
Grateful.
Really battle to figure out how to enjoy this. You're learning stuff right now.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Okay. Enjoy this process.
Man.
Don't let the missing the target by a little bit mess you up.
Oh, it's not even. I love it because it gives me something to do. And I'll be completely transparent. And this is something I think a lot of people are going to experience. When I'm not working, I am so guilty. Like Sundays make me hurt physically. I'm not kidding. I wish it wasn't like this. Like yesterday, it was at 11:30. I pulled out my laptop. Like I opened Chrome, set up Notion, opened up Slack. It's honestly a little unhealthy, but
Why is it unhealthy?
I don't know because every time I try to kind of take downtime,
wait. So let's talk it through this. So if you really love basketball and you love playing basketball every day,
I see where you're going with this.
Would you feel bad for playing basketball every day?
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Do you love working?
Not. Yeah.
So what's wrong with working?
It's not that it's wrong. It's that every single time that I'm not, I feel guilty, or that I feel like I should be doing it, or I feel even worse that like if I'm not working, I'm risking losing all clients, which is a crazy thing.
So that's that's the fear thing, right? We talked about that on the last episode. Okay, I follow you.
Yeah. Listen, we can do this in a whole other episode. I think mindset would be a great another episode. But guys, this has been a pleasure. If you are not doing so already, definitely check us out on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. We post clips there daily, exclusive content on there as well. We just started posting longer form, yet still 2 to 5 minute clips on YouTube as well. You'll catch them there if you can't catch the full episode. Gary, anything you want to add?
Yes, if you call out the flower color in the back of Derek's video right now, so there's a video that Derek's on. If you're listening, you got to go look at it. What color are the flowers behind Derek? Message me on IG or Derek or the show, either any of them. Let us know what color those are. If you send those in, we'll either bring you on the show. I have a couple other podcasts I could bring you on as well. If you don't fit that criteria, like it doesn't work for you to quite be on the show for whatever reason, then we'll shout you out on the next episode. And we have a list of people we need to shout out on the next episode.
100,000,000%. And guys, if this show provided you an ounce of value, please share the show with someone who you think might benefit. The show grows from word of mouth 99% of the time. It'll help us tremendously. We don't put any ad dollars to this. We do nothing except dedicate our time every week to providing you guys value. If you got an ounce of value from any of our content in the past, including this episode, share it with somebody you think it might help. Thank you so much for being here.